Hi, and welcome to the Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parson, and you're watching and listening to episode number 287. And this is part 2 of our Day in the Life series. Last episode, we talked about the day in the life of a virtual assistant based on schedules. This week, we're going to talk about a day in the life of a virtual, getting all tongue tied. This week, we're going to talk about the day in the life of a virtual assistant based on their category of work. There are 3 categories: administrative, creative, and technical. Now, these are unofficial. I came up with these years ago because all the different services I was doing fit in one of these 3 categories. And I have the tendency to like to categorize things. So that's where this came from, but it still fits. It fits all the different services. So let's talk about administrative first, because that's the most common one that people associate with virtual assistants. And what can be included under administrative? It could be customer service, such as handling phone calls or voicemails. It could be handling live chat. So those things that fall under customer service. It could be answering support tickets or emails. It could be setting up email newsletters, doing e-marketing, creating the newsletters, not writing the newsletters per se, but creating them in whatever system your client is using, whether it's Kite or not Kite. Where did I get Kite from? Kit. It's been a long day, y'all. I usually record these in the morning, but this is in the evening, and my word for 2025 is discipline. So that's what I'm working on. Kit, Aweber, MailChimp, whatever they have. The other one that could fall under administrative is like community management. Let's say they have a Facebook group and you help answer questions in the Facebook group. So that can fall under administrative. Also, taking any minutes in a meeting, that's something that falls under administrative. There's a lot more that can fall under this, but this will give you like a starting point for what items fit under administrative. If you are currently working in an office and you are an admin, then you already know all the things that can fall under administrative. So let's move on to, typical day. So for administrative, what this looks like is really being available throughout the day, especially if you're talking about phones and emails, depending on how your client's business is set up or how they would like for you to answer these. Some may want you to be available full time. That goes back to the schedule we talked about. Others may want them to be answered within a certain time frame or just as long as they get addressed. Of course, it's something that you will work out with your client. Things that you would need to be aware of is if they're doing newsletters, e-newsletters, being aware of email marketing systems, the different types of software that could be used. You would want to be aware of help desk systems such as Zendesk, Help Desk, Fresh Desk. There may be some others out there. Help Scout, that used to be a favorite one that I liked using. It was a simple setup in comparison to Zendesk, but answering tickets. So being familiar with those. Phone systems, we're talking about like Grasshopper. I'm sure there's tons of others. Grasshopper is probably the most familiar. They may just be using a Google Voice phone. Whatever system they're using. The main thing is to at least have 3 software systems in your pocket that fit each service. So if it's a phone, research other phone systems outside of Grasshopper, maybe Grasshopper, Google Voice, and one more to be familiar with, so that as you're in conversation with potential clients, you are familiar with these 3 in case they ask you, which ones do you like or do you know some. Same with email marketing. I've named those already. Community management obviously fits with social media. The minutes, that's going to involve either knowing Microsoft Word, having access to Google Docs, somewhere where you can take minutes. You also may have some type of voice note system that you use, and you'll want to research that. You may be familiar with Otter. Zoom now has their own. There's another app. I actually saw an app recently on Instagram that does it as well. It will record and transcribe minutes for you. So that's something that you want to investigate for yourself again. So you have it in your back pocket, a little tool belt, and you know how to accomplish those particular services. Let's move on to creative. What's the day in the life of creative looks like? Unlike with the administrative side, creative side, you have got to stay up on the latest and greatest. Not that you necessarily have to use the latest and greatest, but be aware of the latest and greatest. If you're providing graphics and Canva is your main tool, latest and greatest is happening with Canva. What all are you able to do with Canva? You don't have to know everything, but I would say if you know 3 recent things, that's going to help you. Let that rule of 3 help you a long way. If there's something trending, there could be 5 things trending. Do you have to know about all 5? Not necessarily, but being aware. That is key, being aware. Uh, for graphics and video editing, I'm thinking more so along the lines of social media because that's where mostly people are posting graphics and videos. Being aware of tools like CapCut, InShot, Canva, and again, there may be tons of others, but I stick with knowing a small few and being knowledgeable of that and going forward from there. If you know 2 or 3, then if they come up with something else, you can learn that as well. This also fits with articles. If they are doing a newsletters, but they want someone to create the articles that go in the newsletter, that goes on the creative side. So if you enjoy writing, that's part of the creative side. So blog posts, articles, it could be captions for social media. All that follows under the creative side of things. This is where you get to be way outside the box, exercise, different ideas regarding shapes, colors, angles, all different kinds of fun things. And you may be thinking of ideas already, especially if you're a creative person. Some things may already be popping into your head. Or you may be told opposite, like, you know what, Tiffany, I'm not even thinking about having to be aware of these trends and knowing how to do all these different things. Administrative is my jam. And that's where I'm going to stick. So, nothing wrong with that. Okay. That's the creative side. So staying on top of things. And as far as social media goes, I wouldn't say you need to know all the platforms. Again, being aware and having your top 3. So I would look at the top 3 based on where are the people. If the top 3 platforms based on the number of people is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, then those are the 3 that you want to stay top of mind. Or maybe it's LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok for you. It could vary. But if you're just not sure what a starting point is, research what the most popular social media platforms are right now. Google will tell you, ChatGPT will let you know, and start from there, knowing what the latest and greatest so that you can communicate that to your client. Granted, we can't know everything, but it doesn't necessarily feel good if a client is letting you know about something that's new, but it's like a common knowledge new. Like by now, everybody knows it. You want to, again, stay ahead of the game. The last category is technical. And the technical side of things collaborates with the creative side. For example, if you want to set up blog posts, manage websites, all of that fits, but it also partners with creative. So for example, with blog posts, maybe you do both. Maybe you know how to write, but you're also a little techie, and so you can put that blog post on their website for them. Then that's how they cross over. Or maybe, you are more into graphics, and then you can help add a graphic to their blog post, selecting out the better one, modifying it for their particular website and things like that. If you're super techie, not creative at all, but just more techie, like you're interested into the code and all that stuff, then being more so on you could still be doing blog posts, but also making updates to their website where they provide the creative for you, and then you pretty much plug it all into the different spots. They have the graphics, they have the wording, and then you just plug it all in. The other thing that falls under technical analytics. So this could include social media analytics, website analytics, Google analytics. All that falls under the technical side of things. And if you can not only provide the data, but interpret the data, even better, because that's a service that you can have and set up, a quarterly meeting with clients or monthly meeting with clients to help them understand what those numbers mean after you provided that fabulous report to them. Two other things that can fall under technical is funnels, and that is how where you put in your email address, you receive something back, you start getting automated email messages. You could set up that whole system for clients. Maybe they don't have a funnel system. Maybe they're using mini chat. In a sense, that can be like a funnel system, because you see where people comment a set word on social media. You comment the word and then you get an automatic message or an automatic response. Somebody who's more technical has set all that stuff up, and that falls under the technical category. And then the last thing is software, knowing different software. So let's say I'm going back through the categories. In administrative, we talked about email marketing. Maybe you're familiar with what email marketing system they're using, and so that ties in with the funnel. So while someone on the administrative side may set up and send out a weekly broadcast, maybe you are setting up the automatic responders they get following a webinar, following opting into something. Software in regards to social media, maybe how they schedule things, or the system they use to create graphics, video editing. So you could be lean more administrative, be all administrative, administrative, creative and technical, or all three. This is just to paint a picture and give you an idea of what it could look like for you in selecting what areas of service do I like based on the categories. And if you're like, you know what, I've never done any of that, then try all of it, explore all of it, and then see where you lean more towards. And it may vary based on the season. One season you may be more administrative, another creative, another technical. It may just go back and forth depending on what is going on. The beauty of this is you get to decide what you want things to look like for your business, whether you are going to be totally focused on technical and whatever the other two categories are. It's completely up to you how you want to do your business. The main thing for all three categories that they have in common is staying on top of the latest thing that's happening, especially if it involves technology. If it involves any software tool, you want to stay on top of what is happening, what's the latest update. That's the biggest thing. It more so happens for creative and technical than administrative. So be aware of that. If you can stay on top of those things, you will be golden to your client. If you have any questions, I want to hear your questions. Post them in the comments below if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. And if you're happen to be listening to me on your commute to work this morning, you have a safe drive. And when you get a chance, pop on over to YouTube or Facebook and post your question. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TBBVA. That stands for the Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. Thank you so much for watching and listening. You have a wonderful and fantastic day.